Alright, so I'm going to show you how to mod Rogue FP. The process is a little bit involved, but it's the same process for every Godot game, so as more games start using the engine, it's probably good to know. So the first step is we need to actually download the engine. So we'll go to the website, and we want the latest 3.5 version for Rogue FP. I'm on Linux, so it'll just say for Linux. If you're on Windows, it'll say for Windows. And we want the regular version. Alright. Let that download. Okay, yeah, it's not a very big download, so don't worry about that. Then we want to unzip it with whatever you got. 7-zip works just fine if you're on Windows. Extract. Perfect. Alright, and so we'll fire it up. Alright, so the first thing you want to do here is you want to make a new project. Now we can call it whatever we want. Just make sure you remember the project path. We'll create the folder and we will create the project. Alright, and so the first thing you want to do in the editor is you want to hit editor here and go to manage export templates, because we will have to export the mod. So you just hit download and install and away it goes. Alright, so now that that's done downloading, we can close this. And so what we want to do now is we want to put all our textures into our mods project directory. So we were at home and mod. So this is the directory of our project. What we want to do is put all our stuff in there. So I already have this folder made here. I'll just, yeah. Alright, so so I already have my floor textures, all of them right here. I already have all my sprites that I want overridden, and all my wall textures. So the important part is that the file paths of these textures match the file paths and names of the file paths and textures in the main project. So I will copy these and I will move them into our mod directory. Alright, so now that we have them there, we'll go back to the editor. It'll import all of them, and then that's pretty much it, except for a possible hang-up I'll talk about later on in the video. Right now, all we really need to do is go to Project, Export. We'll add our new export, so I'm going to be running it on Linux, so I'll just do that. If you're on Windows, you would click Windows Desktop and you'd do that. But back here, this runnable thing doesn't even matter. All we want to do is export the resources for our mod, and we only want specific resources that we put in. So we'll just click the folders that we added with all our sprites, all textures, and that's that. And we'll just go to export pack/zip. We want to make sure it's a zip. We can turn off debug, and then we're just going to name it, and I'm going to name it mod1. And Rogue FP, it's not super sophisticated right now. All it does is it just checks the folder that the game is in for just zip files named mod1 through whatever, up to 50, I think I have it right now. That's it, and just the number is just your load order. That's all there is to it, so we'll hit save. It'll export that. So now, we have our mod right here. I'll put that into my game directory. I don't have it very clean, unfortunately. Move here. And so now, come on, there we go. Oh. There we go. So now when I fire up the game, it'll open the mod and overwrite a whole bunch of, It'll overwrite every texture that I overwritten, except in certain instances. Now, this is important. You see, not in here right now, because these hallways are always dark, but you can see right here, the hallways, they just have that weird kind of dark blue color. There's a reason for that. So we'll go back to here, back to our mod. So the problem is, Godot has a weird way of not knowing how textures are supposed to be put onto meshes until they're put on a mesh for the first time. It's a really weird quirk about it, but yeah, and it's even like that when you're actually like making a game too. If you just like put it on in code, put the texture on a mesh in code, but you haven't actually put it on in the editor, it still won't know what to do with it. So The way we're going to get around that is in our just empty scene right here, we're going to click this plus to add a node to the scene. We're going to type box just in the search here, and we'll see this thing that says CSG box. We're going to click on that, and well, I double clicked on it, and it'll put just a simple cube mesh here. Now, where are we? We're going to hit material, where it says empty right here, and we're going to hit new spatial material. Then we're going to click on that, and we're going to go down to albedo, and where it says right here texture empty, that's the actual texture that goes onto the cube. So what we're going to do is I'm going to, one by one, I'm going to click and drag them from our folder here onto the texture, one at a time. And don't worry about how your textures actually look on this cube, because the meshes in the actual project have their own settings for how textures should go on them. So just one at a time, we'll go through it like this. I'll just do the ones that show up on the first few levels so we actually get that this is working here. And boom, like that. And so that's good enough. Those have all been properly imported. And actually you can see, I'll show you right here. You see how this import tab is set up, even though I haven't put this one onto the actual mesh? You can see it actually changes some of the settings. I'll put that on, and then I'll hit import, and wait, what? It didn't change it. Oh, there we go. Yep, okay. Hit click back and forth. So now the settings are actually properly imported, and it knows what to do with it when it goes onto a mesh. I'll go through these right now, actually. So basically what you always want is you want this set to lossless. Boom. I bet I could even show you. It looks quite a bit worse if you have it on lossy, you can see, and even if I turn it down, it starts to look way worse. You want that almost always on lossless. You can, if your textures are low res, you'll probably want the filter off. You'll probably want that more pixelated look. If they're high res, you might want to turn the filter on to maybe make them look, you know, a little bit nicer. You'll probably always want bitmaps on, and you'll probably always want anisotropic on. You can't see it right now, but maybe you could actually. Maybe I can demonstrate if I zoom way out. Anisotropy basically means that it looks better at an angle. There you go. You can see how it's kind of blurry there. If I turn it on, it looks a lot sharper. That's the whole point of that. And sRGB, you're going to want to set that to, you want that to detect. If you set it to enable, sometimes textures will come out darker than they should be. It's a bit of an odd thing. Sometimes if you turn to disable, they'll come out lighter than they should be. So detect usually works pretty well. Alright, so now that we've gone through that, and remember, it's probably a good idea to do this on doors as well. Floor textures as well. I'll do some of the floor textures. These four, and oh, I'm missing stairs. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna duplicate that, I'm gonna type stairs. Alright, and I'm gonna do the stairs as well, just to make sure. Okay. And you know what? All the sprites that go on monsters and items and things, they shouldn't require this. They should be just fine. And don't worry about paying too hard of attention to the way I have it here. I'll post in the description of the video the actual all the names and the folders and everything. So alright, so now that we have that, we're gonna go to export. We're gonna yep, I'll click stairs to make sure that's in there. All these should still be good, selected. We're gonna go back to here. Everything is fine. Save. Alright. I'll get rid of the mod in my folder there, and back to here. Click and drag. And where I'm clicking and dragging it to, in this, since it's, the actual project, it's the project directory. But for you guys on Steam, it would be under Steam, Steam Apps, Common, Rogue FP, where mods usually go. Yes, move here. Okay. Now I'll run it. You can see it's working now. The walls there, they're a bit darker because I think I have sRGB enabled in one of the settings in the game. I'll turn that off so your guys' textures don't turn dark. If you want to check to make sure everything was overwritten properly, you can go to the bestiary and just flip through that. And so a little bit of troubleshooting, we can go, oh, our griffin didn't come out right. Why is that? We can delve into that. We'll take a look. So like, what's going on here? We look at our mod sprites. Why isn't the griffin? The griffin is misspelt. So that's why it's not being overridden. If anything is misspelt, then it won't matter. It won't work. So remember, there's no spaces between black and unicorn. There's no spaces between ice and monster. Things like that are good to be aware of, and that's basically the whole process. You just copy your files into Godot, export them, and then pop it into your game directory with the right name. So that's basically it for modders. I know there's not a lot of videos about modding Godot on YouTube, so just in case any devs come along and see this, there's a little thing I learned. If you change textures using an animation player, if you change anything's textures, it's kind of weird. If you key a texture in the animation player, and then you want the mod to overwrite it, for some reason the animation player will just hold on to the original texture. It's like when you key it in the animation player, it doesn't key the spot in the directory, right? Because when the mod comes in, it just overwrites the texture in the directory. I think when you key it, I think it keys like a resource ID or something like that. And so I was having a lot of trouble with that, trying to figure out why my mods weren't working, because I used to have the game flip between sprites and ASCII using animation players. And yeah, it took me a while to figure out that just straight up will not work. You have to now I have my animation players make function calls, and the functions change it from ASCII to sprites. That's the biggest hang up that I've found, that you basically can't find anyone mentioning that anywhere. But other than that, that should be it. I'll post any information in the video description, and hopefully that's all you need. Just leave anything in the comments, just asking me if you have any hang-ups or anything like that. Alright, thank you.